There are protests and riots in Iran against a government hike on fuel. So naturally, the Trump administration is excited.
We condemn strongly any acts of violence committed by this regime against the Iranian people and are deeply concerned by reports of several fatalities.
Oh, please, you're not concerned about fatalities. You want chaos, you want instability, you want state collapse. In fact, your sanctions have caused more fatalities than the suppression of these protests. State repression is of course wrong. Iran was already an authoritarian state, even if less than many other US allies. But this still has to be put in context. You wage a decades-long Cold War against a country, threatening it with regime change, which is code for state collapse. You say you're using maximum pressure to destroy its economy, squeeze its people, deny them hope, and then when some of them explode in rage and the system lashes out like a cornered animal with its fangs out, you pretend like you suddenly care about these people whose suffering you caused. It's all part of the regime change playbook. It happens every time there are protests in Iran. It goes something like this. Step 1. Impose crippling sanctions on the government to ruin the country's economy.
Iran is in big trouble right now. Their economy is crashing. It's very easy for us to make it a lot worse.
Step 2. Celebrate protests against the destroyed economy as proof the people hate their government.
The president tweeting last night, quote, many reports of peaceful protests by Iranian citizens fed up with their regime's corruption.
Step 3. Use the government suppression of protests for regime change propaganda.
The world's watching. The Iranian people will enjoy a better future when their government begins to respect basic human rights.
The US had an opening with Iran thanks to the nuclear deal, an opportunity to build trust with the West, improve the economy, give people hope, silence the hardliners. But this administration threw that away and besieged Iran. And of course, a government under siege and threatened with destruction will respond with irresponsible violence. I mean, look at how even stable governments like France or the US have responded to protesters. That's why US claims of support for the Iranian people ring hollow.
It's an interesting statement when you say you stand by the people of Iran and you call them terrorists or ban them from entry to the United States.
US sanctions reimposed by Trump in 2018 have destroyed Iran's economy. Experts say it's killing thousands of Iranians.
The sanction is very bad, maybe make many problems for Iranian, for medicine, transportation, for insurance.
The sanctions target 1,000 Iranian individuals and entities. The sanctions also target Iranian financial institutions, and most crucially, its oil exports, which account for 40% of the country's export revenue. Since 2018, exports have fallen from 2 million barrels a day to 400,000. The ultimate goal of this maximum pressure campaign is to reduce Iran's oil production to zero. The sanctions have also caused the Iranian currency to devalue and prices of imports to skyrocket. All of this has hindered Iran's ability to provide basic services to its people and maintain essential imports, like life-saving medicines and medical equipment. As a result, Iranian hospitals are running out of chemo medication and other medications for rare diseases. Way to stick it to those Iranian children suffering from cancer. Really shows how much you care about the Iranian people. As researchers at the Center for Economic and Policy Research argue, through its control over the world banking system, America's sanctioning power flouts international human rights law and poses a threat to the world. The US isn't just destroying Iran this way, it's also ruined Venezuela, where 40,000 people died in a single year as a result of crippling US sanctions. The sanctions on Iran are open-ended. There's no real goal other than to destroy the country. It's economic warfare against Iranian civilians. It's collective punishment. Yet here's Vice President Mike Pence saying he stands with the people of Iran. Give me a break. If Pence, Pompeo, and Trump cared about Iranians, they wouldn't be sanctioning them to poverty, banning them from visiting the US, and calling them terrorists every other day. Pundits from the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, or FDD, a right-wing pro-war think tank, have been the most vocal about the protests in Iran. Yet they've also been the most aggressive in their support for destroying Iran. People like FDD senior fellow Ali Reza Nader, who is originally from Iran. He tweeted that the protests are proof that the Trump administration's maximum pressure is working, and suggested the US do more to help Iranians against the regime. You know, there's nothing lower than somebody who calls for imposing suffering on the people of a country he comes from.
To sanction Iran, I think the US has done that very well and shown it's very effective.
Iranians have been the most heavily impacted by Trump's Muslim ban, something he finds funny.
There have been a lot of reports of regime officials sending their families abroad to the US, Canada, Europe, not so much the US anymore, but Canada and Europe.
Doors closed.
Right.
Another FDD guy urged the US to combine maximum pressure with maximum support for the people of Iran. What does that even mean? Starve them and give them walkie-talkies?
Well, with all due respect, Bill, you've been arguing to bomb Iran for so long, so I don't know if you're really respecting the Iranian people. You've been advocating killing Iranians, so I don't think you or the Trump administration have the credibility to now say that you care for the Iranian people.
I couldn't have said it better.